Jalen Ward never expected his day to involve a dragon, much less one who outranked every creature on the transport ship. He was just a mechanic, a grease-stained, tool-belt-wearing, budget-eating human who fixed starship engines and tried not to offend his supervisors too often. He'd saved for months to buy a first-class ticket on the long-haul cruiser Astral Breeze. For once, he wanted to relax on a real seat, one that didn't rattle or smell like coolant. But fate, apparently, had other plans. 1. Boarding the Astral Breeze. Jalen stepped into the first-class lounge with an awed whistle. Polished marble floors, soft ambient lighting, and chairs made of actual leather instead of recycled polymers. "This is heaven," he muttered. His seat, row A, seat 3, was near the window. He dropped into it with a groan of bliss. Then the room temperature changed. A shadow swept over the entryway. Conversation stopped. Every species, from the feathered kivens to the crystalline rel, went silent. A dragon stepped in. Not a little dragon. Not a drake. Not a wingless WIIM. A full-grown, battle-scarred elder skyborne dragon, standing twice the height of a human and stretching the width of the corridor with his folded wings. Metallic blue scales shimmered like polished steel. One horn was chipped, clearly from war. A thick cloak of military designation hung across his shoulders. Jalen recognized him immediately. General Virak Stormcrest, hero of the Serican Front, veteran of 8 galactic campaigns, a living legend. Yet the dragon's massive form looked tired. His claws scraped lightly against the metal floor. He glanced at the seating panel. Then he frowned. 2. The problem no one would solve. Jalen followed his gaze and winced. One first-class seat had been ripped off its mount, probably by a careless loader. Sparks still glimmered where wiring dangled. His seat. He felt his heart sink. First class had been expensive. Painfully expensive. A stiff-looking flight attendant approached the dragon. "I apologize, General. It seems your assigned seating has become unavailable. We can relocate you to..." The attendant swallowed. "Second class." They were too polite to say it, but Jalen knew the implication. No first-class seat could hold a dragon of Virak size except row A. Seat 3, the extra space accommodation. The dragon's nostrils flared. Not in anger, in humiliation. "I will stand," the dragon rumbled. "Sir, regulations forbid." A low growl shook the glass walls. "I will stand." The flight attendant looked ready to faint. No one wanted to tell a war dragon that they couldn't stand where they pleased, and no one made a move to help. Jalen sighed. His heart and his wallet argued. His heart won. He stood. General Stormcrest. Jalen said, stepping forward, "You can take my seat." The entire lounge froze. The dragon turned slowly. His deep golden eyes narrowed in disbelief. "You would surrender your claim? This is your assigned place." Jalen shrugged. "Yeah, well, you need it more than I do. A first-class seat is no small luxury. I'm just a mechanic. I can survive, coach." A beat of silence. Then the dragon bowed, his massive head lowering nearly to the floor. A warrior's honor shines in the smallest acts. Jalen's ears turned red. Thanks." The attendant nearly wept in relief as Virak gently folded himself into the oversized seat. It bent, groaning, but held. Jalen walked to second class. He expected that to be the end of the story. It wasn't. 3. Mid-flight disaster. 5 hours into the journey, turbulence began. At first minor, then heavy, then violent enough that several passengers were thrown from their seats. Jalen, working through a cheap coach section meal, felt the deck lurch like the ship had struck a wall. Alarms blared. Lights flickered. Panels snapped open overhead. A voice crackled over the intercom. Passengers remain calm. Hull breach detected in Section 9. Engine power fluctuating. Emergency teams en route. Second class erupted in panic. A hull breach? Near the engines? Jalen's mechanic instincts blasted to life. He leapt from his seat and sprinted toward the maintenance access corridor. A young crewman stood blocking the hatch. "Sir, passengers must." "I'm a certified mechanic," Jalen snapped, flashing his ID. "Level 4 fleet licensed. If the engine's compromised, you need me." The cool man paled and stepped aside. Inside, smoke choked the air. Sparks rained from overhead cables. The ship had taken a hit, possibly debris from the storm outside. Power conduits flickered dangerously. Then Jalen froze. A massive tear gaped across the hallway. The air shimmered. The void beyond clawed at it like a hungry beast. Emergency shields flickered but held. Barely, he crawled forward, gripping the railing. The primary power coupler was severed. Without it, the ship couldn't stabilize shields long enough to make an emergency jump. If it failed completely, they would all die. Jalen pulled out a plasma torch and got to work. But the ship shuddered again. He slipped, nearly dropping into the breach, when a massive tail snapped out, hooking his waist and yanking him back to the corridor. Jalen gasped. General Stormcrest. The dragon loomed behind him, barely fitting in the passage. Scales scorched, cloak torn from the turbulence. "You gave me a seat," the dragon rumbled. "Now I return the favor." 4. The sky shakes. Virak anchored himself with claws buried deep into the bulkhead. Jalen worked faster, patching cables, sealing ruptures, forcing stability into circuits where no stability should exist. But the tear widened. Shields failing. Jalen breathed. The dragon snarled. "Then we hold the hull by strength alone." He spread his wings, massive, metallic, gleaming. Then he pressed them into the breach. Wind screamed. Metal shrieked. The void howled against him, trying to rip him away. But dragons were born for the sky, born against storms, born from ancient battles where holding the line meant survival. Jalen yelled, "You can't hold that forever." "I only need to hold long enough," Virak growled, "for a warrior of Earth to finish the task." Jalen's hands blurred across the conduits. Sweat dripped into his eyes. Warning klaxons turned into a deafening chorus. He sparked the final connection. The ship stabilized. The shield surged back to life. The breach sealed over Virak's wings, causing the dragon to exhale in sheer exhaustion but not withdrawal. Finally, when the danger passed, the dragon sagged, panting heavily. "You fixed it," he said softly. "You held the void open with your wings." A fair exchange. 5. The aftermath. Hours later, after emergency crews restored order, passengers watched in awe as Jalen and Virak emerged from the maintenance corridor, both covered in soot, scorched marks, and half-dead tired. The captain herself bowed. "General Stormcrest, Mechanic Ward, you saved 400 lives today." Virak looked at Jalen. "By giving away your seat," the dragon said, "you gave me the chance to be in the right place." Jalen scratched the back of his neck. "Honestly, I just thought you could use the legroom." The dragon laughed, a deep, rolling sound that shook the deck. "You have earned a friend among the skyborne. Call upon me anytime, Jalen, Ward of Earth." The entire ship, hundreds of passengers, bowed as the human mechanic and the veteran dragon walked side by side. And from that day on, the galaxy told stories of the human who gave up his first-class seat, and the dragon who used his wings to hold back the sky.